and Shirdi Baba both came in my dream and said, we are coming to your house and staying here.
How did you become that bee that got attracted to our lovely flower, Swami?
Swami's values resonated with me due to my upbringing.
Swami has created Bhuloka Vaikuntham in Puttaparthi.
I went in not to be in the size center, but to please the president.
Has connecting with Swami the last 2 years been difficult without the center?
And we decided, after a period of preparation of 2 years, we decided that he and I, Appa and I, and 4 of your children should go and see this glorious figure of Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba.
Sai Ram, dear elders and brothers and sisters. Swami says, and I quote, "The feminine is the foundation on which a peaceful and happy world is to be raised. When women are brave and true, kind and compassionate, pious and virtuous, the world can have an era of peace and joy." End quote. The Sri Sathya Sai South Bethesda Center is one of the oldest and largest in the US, and over the years, it has been blessed and guided by Swami in many ways. Since its inception, the women of the center have formed the foundation on which the center has been raised, and, along with their families, have been an integral part of all its aspects. And so, for Ladies' Day 2021, we traveled down memory lane to tap into the wisdom and experiences of some of the senior ladies of our center, who over the years have contributed so much and who have grown with the center over decades. The challenges of social distancing and the Zoom environment actually led to one of the sweetest aspects of this presentation. That is, the ladies were all interviewed by their own daughters or sisters, or their daughters of the heart, all of whom are also members of our center. In response to our questions, the ladies shared many pearls, and we invite you to join us, listen, and enjoy. Sai Ram.
Our family first saw Swami when Usha was about 6 years old, and that time we were in Delhi. And we had gone there with my sister-in-law because she was a devotee of Swami and she wanted to see Swami at Delhi. She wanted to see Swami at Delhi. At that time we didn't know much about him, nor were we special. We won't call ourselves Swami devotees at that time. But we were keen to see him because we had to take my sister-in-law to see Swami at golf links in Delhi. At that time, Usha was a little girl of 6 years old and she got lost in the crowd. And then we were searching for her and all that, and then suddenly she said, "Appa, Amma, I'm here. Why are you looking for me? Swami is there to help me." So that is how we found out, and that was our first experience with Swami. This also happened during the late 1970s or so. My nephew's wife's friend was getting married in Puttaparthi because they were Swami devotees, and she was invited for the wedding. And she told us, she was living in Bangalore, and she said she is going for the wedding. And I was in Bangalore at that time at my nephew's place, and since she mentioned this, I said I would also like to go and see Swami over there. But she said for the wedding only I have been invited, so I won't be able to take you. But you're welcome to come to Puttaparthi. So that is how I landed up going there on my own. It was a bus journey from Bangalore to Puttaparthi, but somehow I made it. And that was a time when I was able to see Swami at close quarters. But there was no interaction as such, and that impressed me a lot. And that was sort of the beginning of my journey towards Swami.
Sairam, everyone. In 1972, my husband Ramesh had a little free time, and he said, I'll take care of the children, you go see your parents. So I thought, okay, exciting time, let me go see my parents. But there I had an American girlfriend who had said, next time you're going to India, I want to come with you. And I said, okay, I called her. She was in California. And she said yes, and jumped at it and came. So there we go. We reach our home, and the surprising thing was it is not the same house that I had grown up in, and all very different. And the atmosphere also was very different. There was a background prayer type thing going on, and so I was thinking, how do I communicate with everybody here? So I thought, I'm working with children. That was my livelihood. And in that, I had to take a TB test every single year. And in my absence, my other sister, Vijaya, who's now in North Carolina, had become a doctor. So I thought, okay, let me ask her the question, is there any solution for this so I can stop taking this every year test? And she said, let's go see Swami. And I said, what Swami? I don't know any Swami. I'm asking you as a doctor. And she said, hey, be quiet. Let us go to see Swami. And I looked at both my sisters. One is this one, Chitra, and the other one is Vijaya. And they both were all on board. Let's go, kind of a thing.
Yeah, because that was the time when we just came from the summer course. We had attended the first summer course in Whitefield. All three sisters, our older sister Pavitra, Vijaya and myself, three sisters had gone for the summer course, and then we came back. In fact, this picture was bought during that time, and me and my sister both had the same picture in the room, and we were into meditation and bhajans and all that. So it was like the whole house was a different atmosphere from what you had left before going to the US.
Yes. And that was 11 years before that, so you can imagine all the changes. Anyway, we got it all done, and we were put in the, what is that area called, the room where a whole bunch of people...
Oh, shed.
Yeah, we were put in a shed. So anyway, it was time for darshan, and went for darshan. Very dramatic, because I hardly sat down, and Baba came out, and with his hand, he went. I didn't know what that meant, and the volunteer leader said, "Go, Ma, go." I said, "Go where?" She said, "He's calling you." I said, "Calling me for what?" She said, "For an interview." I said, "I didn't apply for a job." And she didn't know what I was talking about. I didn't know what she was talking about. She said, "Go, Amma, go." And I got up and started walking, and he made his sign with his hand to come. So that was our first interview. We went in. He only took in me and my American girlfriend and my brother. That's it. It was a small room and all standing up area. And he asked me, what do you want? Thinking, what am I going to tell this guy what I want, because I don't even know him, and what am I going to tell him? So then the only thought that came to me is what we were working on. We had finished our education, so we were thinking about going back to India. And so I thought, okay, let me tell him that. So I said, we're in the process of returning to India. He said, no, stay where you are. And that was it. So that was the first exposure to Baba and all the things.
I know, and then there was no looking back, right?
No.
Yes.
Well, that was 50 years ago, during the summer of 1971. I was working in Bangalore University, and Swami's college was affiliated to Bangalore University at that time. And so when the exams were going on, I used to make surprise trips to colleges. So like that, I was making a surprise trip to Whitefield College of Swami. And after the inspection was over, the principal Narendra asked me whether I would like to have darshan of Swami. So I was really not sure, and I was always be very skeptical about Okar people. So I was not sure, and I had read about, I shouldn't say I have read, but I've heard about Swami. Some of them are good, some of them are not so complimentary. So I was not sure, but still something in me told me that I should go and see him. So I went, and so I went in, and Narendra took me to Swami's interview room, inner room, and I saw several people are sitting there. I was given a seat. So as soon as Swami saw me, he started speaking about student indiscipline, which was a real problem in Bangalore University at that time. So I don't remember the entire content of the conversations, but there are 3 takeaways I have from that darshan. One is the education without character is useless. I thought anyway this is a statement everybody makes. It didn't make an impression on me. And second is, Neevu ee kelasadalli iruvadilla. That is in Kannada, you have spoken to me throughout. That means I won't be staying in this job for too long. So I thought he was reading my mind, because I was planning to go back to the government. Then I have also informed the Vice Chancellor. So it didn't surprise me, so he was reading my mind. That's my impression. And third one is Tiruga Nodabekama. That is, I need to see you again. So when I came out of the interview room, I felt I was a different person. I just wanted to come back and see him, because he said he has to see me again. Actually, the next day, after I had darshan of Swami, I was in my office in Bangalore University. Some of the invigilators are going to Vrindavan campus for doing invigilation exams. Then I asked him, Swami told me this. They were all Swami devotees. They were so happy to go there. Swami told me that you have to see me again. What does that mean? Should I have to go today? They laughed. I said, no, madam. He will call you. When the time comes, he will make arrangements. So you don't worry. So.
When Appa and I were in our 30s, latter 30s, by the time we have had all of you 4 children, and you, Daya, you were just a little infant of 2 years, Appa and I got an urge, a longing, a serious longing to understand the seriousness of life, the truth that lay behind the superficiality of life. So we started reading books, a lot of spiritual books. of great sages and saints like Ramana Maharishi, Paramahamsa Yogananda, Ramakrishna, Jiddu Krishnamurti, and all these spiritual books in order to understand the truth that lay behind the external, changing externals of life. And at this search led us to our beloved Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba of Puttapati, of his Prashanti Nilayam, and we learnt that he was a saint who was drawing thousands of people to him through his spiritual discourses, through his advice how to lead a life, through his love and compassion, and through his beautiful bhajans. And so what Appa and I did was, we took a lot of his books. I started reading all the books about his greatness, about his glory, about his grandeur. And then we also listened to his music, the beautiful bhajans. And we decided, after a period of preparation of 2 years, we decided that he and I, Appa and I, and 4 of your children should go and see this glorious figure of Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba.
I heard about Swami in late 60s through my upstairs tenant mother. She was an old lady. I don't know whether she went to school or not, but Swami blessed her to write poems on her. So I heard about that, but that time I was so young with my young kids, so I have to take care of my housework, take care of my children. So I didn't got into that. But in 77, again my neighbor, another neighbor in another house, she asked me to come for Sai Bhajans, to sing bhajan. I love music. I always used to hum while I am cooking, and she heard that and then she asked me to come for the bhajan. I told her that I don't know any Sai Bhajan. But she said, you don't have to. You can put Rama, Krishna, whatever God you want in front of first. You can add that. That will be the Sai Bhajan. So slowly I started going to the bhajan. That's how Swami brought his soul through bhajan. Because I love music, Swami did that. And then, to confirm my faith in him, Swami did a little miracle in my life. That time my husband was about to join in a job in Middle East. She got a job there, he got a job there. He was preparing to leave the country and go to Middle East. That time, all of a sudden, a message came from nowhere, I don't know. So visa cancelled, no job. But he already resigned his present job. So we all know what to do. So we were so worried. So that time, I heard about Swami that time, that lot of miracles about the devotees and all. So I hold his feet. I surrendered to him and told him, no one other than you can rescue from this situation. So that was happened, and then within a week, we don't know, another message, your visa is arriving, get ready to start. This is really Swami's work. No other can do it. So my faith confirmed. My journey starts from there. And I think that's how I came to Swami. Swami took me into his fold through bhajan.
So you've been the humming musical bee that got attracted to our
Yes,
little
yes.
flower Swami. That's so nice.
Yeah.
So, when did Swami come into your life?
It's a very funny thing. Can you believe? I grew up in Anantapur and town very near Puttaparthi. Not only that, our neighbor in Bombay kept telling us, come with me to see Swami. But somehow we did not go. Then, within 2-3 years of moving to Washington, the moment came. That is how Swami works. We went to just one Sai bhajan and that was it. Soon after, we started worshipping Swami.
Was it a smooth transition to worshipping Swami? Did you stop praying to Lord Venkateshwara?
Not at all. We continue to pray to Lord Venkateshwara. Here, I would like to narrate a small, lovely incident. We had gone to Tirupati, which we always did on our India trips. Just before going into the temple, we bought some small silver pieces. We would offer these silver pieces to God as a prayer for good health. That was our custom, and the shopkeepers always wrapped the silver pieces in old paper. Now, on that day, when we opened up the wrapping, imagine our surprise. We saw a big Swami photo in that small scrap of old newspaper. We were amazed. Swami and Venkateshwara were both telling us there is no difference between the two. I should also say one great attraction of Swami for me from the beginning was that he is Telugu speaking, and even today I am excited that I grew up in the same town where he grew up, such as Anantapur and Uravakonda. For me, that has been a basis for a lot of closeness and familiarity with Swami. We are very fortunate in that way.
I have heard about Baba first time from my mother-in-law. She saw Swami as Baba Yogi materializing Vibhuti, singing beautiful bhajans at her cousin's housewarming ceremony. And she was very much impressed, though she was not a believer. She said the Baba Yogi is really very good in the singing bhajans and invoking bhakti in people. I got my first Vibhuti, Swami's visiting card from her in 1958.
Oh, that was the Vibhuti packet you gave me when I was
Yeah.
coming to US for my postdoctoral fellowship.
When we shifted to Delhi, my cousin sister, who was an ardent devotee of Swami, invited me to see Swami at Delhi's golf course in 1972. I witnessed Swami healing devotees, singing, materializing Vibhuti, and realized divinity cannot be expressed in words. After retirement, I was fortunate to participate in Bethesda Sai Center activities. My cousin, after retirement, moved to Patti, and we considered settling down in Patti forever. But due to circumstances, it was not feasible. But I still remember our 2-month stay in Patti, the year before Swami took his Mahasamadhi. Our Swami had declared he will give Akash Darshan to everybody, and I am enjoying continuously the Radio Sai YouTube bhajans, Sandarshan and Sandarshan of Sai.
Amma, out of all of Swami's teachings, what has been the most important for you in your life?
Daya, in truth, I cherish all his teachings. They are all so wonderful. But one thing stands prominently in my mind. You know, before I met Swami, I thought I am an ordinary being. I can never attain God. I thought God is somewhere up there in the sky, or He is somewhere on top of a mountain, and He can be acquired only by sages and saints. Swami cleansed that little mistake I had in my heart. He taught me that God is not to be searched merely outside in temples and caves and mountain tops by sages and saints. God is not accessible only to these searchers of spiritual nature. God is accessible to everyone. He said, go deep into your heart. The gem of purity, that essence of divinity, lies within you. But before you go deep within you, cleanse yourself. Become purified. Get rid of all the 6 worst enemies of man, all your evil qualities. Once you purify yourself, then you will see that shining gem of sanctity, purity within yourself. You know, when one American devotee asked Swami, Swami, are you God? He said, indeed, I am God. But remember the other part of my answer, everyone is God. So I am God, you are God. But I know it, but you don't know it. So Swami taught me this beautiful thing, that divinity is within us and we have to search within that. And you know, Daya, the other thing that appealed to me was Swami's stress on service. He says service to man is service to God. When you see a child crying for a bottle of milk, or you see a poor man shivering on the streets and shuddering in the cold, your heart should be filled with love and compassion, and you should learn to do service. So that was another teaching that I liked. He said, if you are unable to do any service, you don't have the means, you don't have the physical strength, at least be positive with full of love to everyone. Don't dislike anyone, don't hate anyone, don't send negative feelings towards people. Love everyone as you love yourself.
Always want to follow, practice Swami's teaching of thought, word and deed. I'm trying my best for that.
Well, there are so many teachings of Swami which are so powerful, but I would like to talk about satsang, and especially this idea of working with others in unity and harmony.
Now, why satsang?
Before we knew Swami, we prayed with family and friends. But in the Swami fold, the idea of the Sai center is something very different. In the center, everything you do together. There is unity, you are one guru.
You are talking about bhajans, right?
Yes. In the beginning, it was mainly bhajan. It was so nice to come together and sing together. This was new for us. And not only singing, for example, for Akhand Bhajan, everyone would join together to make arrangements, do decorations, bring supplies.
When I lost my mother in 1980, I was in bad shape and very sad. While traveling to work, I saw a leper sitting on the roadside and begging. I felt ashamed of myself because he did not have any resources nor anybody to take care of him. Then I decided to help by making food packets for him. One day I was ready to give him food packet. To my surprise, he spoke to me in English. He was a BA graduate, and because of social stigma of leprosy, he left his family and roaming about he came to Delhi's leprosy colony. He mentioned that my food tasted like how his mother made. Every time he could not eat what I gave because the person who was bringing him the leprosy colony was eating it. Then afterwards, I started making more packets for the handicapped people near Hanuman Mandir at Connaught Place, Delhi. One day I had to go out to office early, so I asked my husband to take the food packets and distribute them. He never understood at that time, but grudgingly took them. When he was distributing the food packets, one beggar asked him, "How is Amma?" My husband asked, "Who is Amma?" They said, they recognized Amma's homemade food and packing. Professor Vishwanath Pandit, ex-vice chancellor of Sathya Sai Institute of Higher Learning, told me that I am doing good Narayan Seva. For the first time I came to know that this is called Narayan Seva. I continued to enjoy Narayan Seva after retirement and participating in Bethesda Sai Center activities with my family. In summary, if we want to succeed combining, balancing family, work, career and service activity, we must be very disciplined, determined, devoted. Prioritize giving something selflessly. I trust Swami is always there to bless us in our endeavors.
But one thing, I have to say that unknowingly I was following really consistently till today is Namasmarana and Likita Japa. And my father initiated me into Sri Ramajayam writing. And about Nama Japam, how it impacted me, I have to tell you, because it was a kind of refuge for me. Anytime you feel stressed out or any problems there, immediately I will pray, I say Rama Rama, like that, and then I will start writing Sri Ramajayam and take a vow to. Actually, it's more like a coping mechanism for me, this Likita Japa. And then later on I came to know that Swami recommends Likita Japam as well as Namasmarana, and that is supposed to be purifying your mind and heart. So how can Namasmarana purify your thing? I used to wonder, but after all these years I realized, yes, Swami makes subtle changes over time. This thing, Swami's words are 100% Sathya. So it is really, I am glad that my father introduced me to Likita Japam at a very young age, and I have been doing it consistently every day. Actually, Nama Japam, sort of consistently, everything, you need to do it consistently, whatever you do. And when it is done that way, over time you realize how much you have changed. I know what kind of person I was 50 years ago. It's not just age and things like that, even otherwise. Because I compared myself when I went for my reunion in Missouri, compared myself with some of other colleagues who used to be colleagues of mine. And, I found a difference. That, I'm a very different. I used to be very arrogant, very proud. I have no shame in admitting that. Now, what is this? It doesn't make any sense to me anymore. Often we find ourselves in conflicts concerning career and work and our responsibilities to our family members. But what I would suggest is do your duty. That's important. Whatever be the situation. For instance, before I was married, I was working. I was a sub-division magistrate, sub-collector. That's the first posting actually. And very often, we have to arrest, some of these accused. they are produced before you for judicial custody. You see, what family values we have learnt was at that time never hurt anybody. So I was quite young, in my mid-20s. And then this was my inexperience and in spite of all the training you are given, when you meet the situation, it's a different part. You have to apply your mind all the time. And at that time, I used to feel miserable when I had to allow the police people to take these accused, give them judicial custody. No, you have to make sure that they are not harmed. That is the only job I had to do. Then I used to think, okay, I have to do what I have to do. I will do it. But much later, how Swami's teachings, let me come to terms with these kind of decisions. So when you are given a particular situation, like when I read Gita Vahini, that is when I came to terms with these kind of situations. Because there Bhagavan, our Swami tells Arjuna that he has to do his duty as a Kshatriya to fight adharma in the battlefield. So it becomes Nishkamya Karma for him. So same thing, whatever job you are doing, if it is assigned to you, please do it perfectly, do your duty. Here there is no question of personal involvement. It is not me who is doing, it is a chair which is doing the job, not me. So that is how, I learned from Gita Vahini. This is the way you have to look at it. Now, it's not like I was rationalizing my decision, but it is more like accepting things, okay, it's all right, like that.
The first one that I learned, big lesson, is that he knows everything. It is not only actions, it is not only anything, even at your thought level, what is coming, he knows. So, always be careful that you're on the right path. When I say you, I mean me, okay? Because he knows everything. That's one. The second one I learned, big time, is that when he gives you an assignment, do it without reanalyzing it in your own brain. He has given me several assignments over the years, and the first 2 times I analyzed like a human being, I guess, and he caught me in it and straightened it all out. So that was the second lesson. So 2 lessons. First one is that he knows everything. And the second lesson is that when he gives you an assignment, do it. Don't even think it, don't even analyze it.
Absolutely.
Amma, you've been a doctor, a wife, a mother, a grandmother, now a great-grandmother. How has Swami's teaching about women helped you in these roles in your life?
As a daughter, wife, mother, I do all my housework and taking care of my children. Fortunately, I was born in a traditional family, so we are used to do rituals and pujas every day. So through that, I taught my children, my grandchildren also to pray to Swami and the daily routines and daily pujas and everything. My great-grandchildren are very young now, right now. Maybe if I am there for them, I will teach them the same thing to them also. Swami always says, don't differentiate from the work you do with the spiritual duties and spiritual practices. No difference at all. Whatever you do, you offer that to Swami. That will be the spiritual thing.
I got married in 1972 and moved to Delhi. Then we moved to Washington in 1976 May. And then I joined American University, started doing my PhD program at that time. So in 1982. Then I was a bit depressed, and I was looking for something, I didn't have any sense of belonging anywhere. So then I heard about this center, Swami's center. So I said, why not go there? So I started going to the center. Then, I started feeling better, and the bhajans were wonderful, and, I had developed a sense of belonging, as if I'm part of this family, Sai family. That really pulled me out of my depression, and I could sort of quickly write my proposal and also the dissertation, finish it in 85.
And so then some of them came, not all. Vijaya, her husband, and my parents came. And my parents came with a name of a center, and that's Bethesda Center. Can you take us there? They said. I said, yes, I'll take you there, but I'm not going to stay back, okay? Because, see, I'd read about the meditation and all, and I'm not a very patient type of person. So I thought that won't work for me. So I took them to the center, Bethesda Center. Following time, again, when I'm taking them, the center president is waiting for me. He came out running, and he said, where are you going? Where are you going? Come on in, come on in. And now, he's a senior man. So, how do you handle that kind of a thing? I wasn't sure. So I went in. I went in not to be in the Sai center, but to please the president, because it was in his house, in his basement. And that's how it went every single. And the very interesting thing was, one time, 2 times, 3 times, this, only so many times you can get cornered into entering the place. And Dr. Pani came and asked me, Amma, why is your last name Nayak and your parents' last name is Kamat? I said, because I'm married. Dr. Pani, you're married? He said, where's your husband? I said, he's in Kuwait. He said, your husband is in Kuwait? Why? I said, well, he didn't get what they offered in Kuwait was a very, very interesting thing for him. It's his favorite subject. So he has gone, no, Ma, no, that is not good. He said, bring a picture of his, we'll put it at Swami's feet and doing the bhajan. And I said, okay, I'm doing everything to please Dr. Pani, okay? I took a picture and he put it at Baba's feet, chair feet, and we did the bhajans. And you won't even believe it. Even today I don't believe it. There was a call from NIH. The guy called and he wanted to see my husband. And I said, he's not here. And he said, where is he? He said, he's in Kuwait. Well, when is he coming next? I want to see him when he comes back. And I said, okay, well, he's coming back in January, I think it was, I said. He said, okay, I want to see him when he comes in January. And now my husband had a habit of calling me every single day. And I told him, he said, are you sure it doesn't happen like that? Because I did not apply, he said. I said, I don't know all that, but he did say that. He said, okay. So during his break, he came to US, and then we called him, and he said, okay, I want to see him. He gave the time. And I told him, I'm driving with you because I don't believe this. So we went to NIH and he went in for the quote-unquote interview and came out with an expression on his face. I said, what happened? He said, you won't believe it. He wants me to take up a job here. And this is the kind of thing I really wanted all along. I said, oh, so what are you going to do? Because he was supposed to go back to Kuwait. He never went back, which meant the car he had bought there was left there. The apartment with all the furnitures and everything else was left there. He said, I am not going back. So he stayed here and he worked at NIH for 30 years. That is 30, okay? That much unreal. So now along with that, what happens? He said, okay, where is this center? Okay, all right, I'm coming. So now we go to the center every single day. I mean, when I say day, bhajan day.
Every Sunday.
Yeah, every Sunday. And my husband loves to sing. So he's joined the men's side for
Swami once told us when we had got to India, he had called us for an interview, and my husband was saying that not many devotees are coming, Swami, so what should we do about it? So he said, I am worried only about quality and not quantity. You do your work and I will do my work. So you just keep the door open for the bhajans. So that's what we did. And we had a wonderful experience, and one winter when it was snowing heavily and it was a Sunday, then we thought it's a bhajan day, so we always keep it open, and since we are inside the house, there's no problem. But we had cleaned all the steps leading to our front steps leading to our house. It was all snow bound, so my husband had cleaned up all the snow and kept everything ready for the bhajan. And we thought if, because we were not great singers, we'll put on some tape and then do the bhajan. Because so far nobody had come, and but we had to do the bhajan because that was the right thing to do. And we just were going to start the bhajan when suddenly the door opened because we had already kept it open. And believe me or not, you know who came? It was Dr. Veda Viswanathan with his small 4-year-old son, Ram Viswanathan.
You mean the boy who's now a 6-footer with a magnificent voice?
Yeah, that is very true. But he was only a 4-year-old, and believe what his father said. He said, we have to go for bhajan. I was wondering what I should do. And my son said, we have to go there. I want to go and sing for bhajan for Swami. And that's how the little boy dragged his father and brought him to our bhajan place, Swami's place, to sing. And he sang bhajan and also some solo Tyagaraja song, which I believe, I very vividly remember that. We went to Puttaparthi, which we used to visit every 2 years on home leave. Swami called us for an interview, and he was talking to us, and he said to my husband, I'm very happy that you have started service in Washington area and that you are going and feeding the poor. So I'm very happy about it. That is how we started the first sevas which we tried. In the earlier years, I used to be involved in the meetings at the ladies club of the World Bank, and so we used to meet once a month and have some get together. And also I was interested in flower arranging, so I joined a Japanese flower arranging workshop and then learned some flower arranging because I used to love flowers. And then afterwards, when we were running the center, I found that I could use my interest in flower arranging by doing some flower arranging arrangement every Sunday. and that to keep the place nice and looking nice, and that gave me also pleasure that I was doing a job hopefully very well for Swami. So that was really a nice part of it, and I used to keep everything clean. And those days we were new to the place, so we could not afford a maid or anything. All the house cleaning I used to do myself, washing, cleaning, everything. And especially on the day of the center bhajan, because it was in the house, I used to keep the house clean and clean the bathrooms, the kitchen, because everybody will come in to take coffee. And my son Ramachandran used to help by doing the vacuuming of the bhajan hall. And my husband used to help everything in general and seeing that everything was in order. So that was a great thing and a great lesson that we must do everything perfectly, and for Swami. That's for whom we are doing it, not for ourselves. So that gave me a lot of pleasure and also feeling of satisfaction.
We began to participate actively in all center activities, whether it was bhajans, seva, study circle or ball. Over time, the center has become very big part of our lives. Week after week, to have the satsang of Sai devotees, discuss Swami's teaching, participate in center activities. All of these definitely increase the deepen your connection to God.
Were you also involved with seva in those early years?
Oh yes, for Narayan Seva, we would prepare meals and go with Ratna to downtown DC and serve meals during this together brought us closer. We learned so much from Ratna, his devotion to Swami, his kindness to homeless people, and they would react so warmly to him. It was really something to see. In the same way, we used to go to Bhavani's house, Ranganathan's house, and Mr. Singh's house for sandwich program seva. Everyone looked forward to Saturday morning doing the seva together, singing bhajan and talking about Swami, and the only thing better than that satsang was Bhavani's South Indian Madras coffee.
I remember Auntie's coffee tasted so good with the peanut butter sandwiches.
These are all some wonderful memories. There was so much togetherness. We felt we were one because of our devotion to Swami and our common desire to follow his teachings.
Do you want to say something about satsang and Bal Vikas?
Definitely. When Padma and Rama started working on Bal Vikas programs, we had some wonderful times. We had lots of rehearsals in our house. Many children would come, parents would come. There was such a spirit of cooperation. Everybody did whatever they could to make everything go smoothly. Swami says spirituality does not need to be serious and boring. He says we should be happy. During these years, spirituality was actually a lot of fun. I remember when Shyam came over to our house and gave us ideas for music for a play. Then there were many lovely times when we worked with Surendra and Alka in their house. And then the young children and Padma and Rama would work with Anshu on recordings. Anshu was very much in demand even though those days. Then at other times there were practices in Shiva and Sita's house, and we worked with parents on the children's costumes, drawing mustaches and trying dhotis, a lot of fun. The point is there was so much to do, but everybody worked together with love and unity until the day of the program. And you know, the programs were always a success because Swami would bless the efforts of all the children, teachers, parents, and everyone.
Swami came to the cath lab to visit all the patients who were there.
In the cardiology department.
In the cardiology department. And I used to write the letters to the patients sitting in a cubicle right in the front. And there was a glass cutout behind which I was sitting and writing. And when Swami came, he asked me, "Are you sitting here?" "Yes, Swami," I said. I gave my namaskars to him. And he said, "I'm very happy." And he put his hands through the glass window and put both his hands on my head and blessed me. So I'm very thankful for that and carried on my work.
You know, when Swami called us for an interview, I told him, "Swami, when I feel so much inspired by you, I write poems." Then he looked at me and said, "Oh, please continue to write poems," which I truly did. And on his 75th birthday, I submitted at his lotus feet a book of poetry, 75 poems called 75 Blossoms. So shall I read to you a stanza now? Yes, this is from a poem I wrote, "How Can I Thank Thee, My Sweet Lord Sai?" I'll just read one stanza if you will bear with me. "What radiance, what bliss eternal I saw in thee, dear Sai. In a trice, the tossing and buffeting ceased, darkness fled, inexplicable joy suffused my being. Dream it cannot be. A refuge, a defined refuge from the frets and foibles of life. He gathered us all to his bosom, more than a divine mother. He patted away the creases and wrinkles wrought by life. He taught us sweetly the path to serenity, the joy of eternity."
When we put up
in 1985 in Sundaram, when Swami visited Sundaram, I was there in Chennai and I got his first Pada Namaskar on February 1st, Friday, evening 5:30. I never forget that. Swami took me in his fold on that day. So, born in the world in the name of Sai, hold on to him if you can. He is in one, he is in all. You can see him in everything. Sai, you are my heart and soul.
Any closing words?
When we put up dramas, Swami does not ask was to play a big success. What Swami wants to know is, did everyone cooperate? Was there harmony? Because for him, working in unity is a very important part of the sadhana. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't agree, but we still have to work together. That is what Swami wants. And that is where the center comes in. The center is Swami's instrument for teaching us the lesson of unity. doing things together, cooperating, compromising, keeping your ego down, not worrying about who gets credit, listening to what the other person has to say. These are all the things that we learn from being a part of the center. Being respectful, being appreciative, these are also the things we should learn, and developing the sense of oneness, recognizing that there is something here that is bringing us all together. Our family was one of the first families that joined together to form the Bethesda Center. We are so fortunate to have been a part of this center for so many years, more than 40 years, and we are all so fortunate to learn these lessons at the lotus feet of Swami.
Who is Swami to you?
Swami has created Guloka Vaikuntham in Puttaparthi. This I experienced this time when I went to Puttaparthi, watching the Homa, that the Veda Purusha Yajna Homa, for 2 days, Saraswati Day, Saraswati Puja Day, as well as Vijayadashmi Day, also happened to be Shri Sai Baba's Samadhi Day. And no other thought entered there, and you felt like you are in Vaikuntha with Swami. That he is Mahavishnu, he is Vaikunthathipati, as M.S. Swami had said. This really amazing journey. Swami is what should I say, Avyada Karunamurti. Without my realizing, he had helped a lot, and in retrospect I will start shedding tears. Swami's love. He is like that. He is just he addresses us Prema Sarupa Lara, he is Prema Sarupa. Thank you, Swami, for everything. He is everything to me now.
Amma, today is Ladies' Day. What is the significance of the day to you?
It's not only significant to me, Daya, it's significant to all Swami's devotees. In fact, to all the women of the world. Do you know, in our society, it's so sad that women are not given the place that is due to them. They are in fact trodden upon by society from the olden times. But Swami made it a day, he proclaimed a day as a Ladies' Day. He wanted everyone to understand the value of a woman, of a mother, of a woman, how she is at home, in a family, in society, in the world, and how she is filled with so much of good qualities, noble qualities. He talks of the way that a mother molds the child, especially during the first 5 years of the child's life, and how she instills so many beautiful ideas, so many divine ideas into the child. Swami has said that even if someone forgets to worship God, he must never forget to worship his own mother. Shall I read you a quotation for you that Swami said about? He said, "The feminine is the foundation on which a peaceful and happy world is to be raised. When women are true and brave, kind and pious, the world will have an era of peace and joy." In fact, do you know what Swami said? Swami said the mother is the visible manifestation of God. So he always speaks very highly of the role of women at home, in society, and he says mother's love for the child is so sacred, so divine. It comes closest to godly love, to divine love.